Welcome back, everyone. This is a few of the things from the main night delivery demo I just made. Just want to run through them with you. There we go. So basically here we have an overview of what's going on. It's a standard Unity terrain with Microverse and some Unity splines and some assets just plugged in. Into a bit more detail, the player starts around this area, walks over here to get his quest, then has to run all the way up to the temple to finish his quest. Or actually, that's only half of it, but I planned it for anyone who try to just go up here and die, so there's no nothing else after that. So let's take it step by step. So initially the terrain is a standard sized Unity terrain, so it's 1000 meters each way, I believe. We can see that here. Settings. Resolution is 1025. Texture resolution 1024. Actual size of the terrain is 1024. I used Microverse, of course, to create the terrain, and because I still use the method I showed in my previous video where I create basically stamps for buildings and stuff and then just plot them in as I need. So I create them in an empty scene and then I drag them into this when I'm ready to use them. The terrain, got a lot of these issues with Unity lately. It's just been getting worse and worse, and I'm not only talking about the project but as the versions iterate. Rocky Plateau from Stampit, Ultimate Stampit Collection. I can't remember which one I used here, but you can see it says 15. So I guess that's this one. And if you saw the demo, the video, you noticed a few things. So for example, there's a hole here. And that's me trying to do some optimization, because if I enable the original parts, that will basically could take some time because I'm filling up the memory. We actually do have a gate here. It's hard to see, but you can see the wireframe right here. And for some reason, when I did scene optimization, it was rendered away. The same happened at the temple. So you saw the demo, and if we go to the quest of the temple, there were two doors. So let me just mark one and fly over there. These. So the idea is this door, it will close. Somehow I got a duplicate. But when I noticed, I already made a build, so that's something new, or at least something I haven't seen in quite some years. This happening, and of course this happened when I did the scene optimization, and I was using procedural scene optimizer, and basically I was generating new meshes and doing mesh combining. And of course adding cooling to the camera, just to make it being able to run at all, right? So that's something I need to be aware of going forward. Let's go back to the player. So the player is a game controller or game creator 1 controller. And GameCreator 1 was fairly simple compared to other controllers, but it's super easy to use. So you can see I just got the controller, I got the stats added to him, and he's only using HP. So you can see the other stats are also here, but they're not being used on this guy. The horse is the standard Malbers horse, but from Synty Studios. Right? And one of the challenges is, of course, always to make a character sit on the horse. And if you look closely in the demo, he's not really riding, he's just in a pose. And he's placed on this saddle dot. So you can see right here, there is this box. Let's just go over the horse really quick. So I have a mount enter, which is an action set from GameCreator. I'm just toggling a bool to true, and I'm showing the UI. You can see on top here it says mount. Mount exit, disable the bool, and hiding the UI. And the bool is a global variable I added in GameCreator. Normally things like this wouldn't be in a global variable, but since this is a very small project with a limited scope, I think it's fairly easy. So you can see I'm writing possible, true or false. And of course, it's triggered. So the entire horse has a trigger collider around it, and I trigger player exit and player entry, and I just run them. So the actual mounting itself is on the player itself. I have this one called mounting, so when you press E, we run a set of conditions, and if conditions checks, are you in the global variable allowing writing? If yes. Oh. Ah, okay, yeah. So we check if it's possible, and then we have this one to check, are you already mounted, yes or no? If you're not mounted already, then we run the actions. And that's because we want to make sure you cannot mount while mounted. The actions themselves are pretty straightforward. We take the player and fit them on this box. We change position and adjust a little, change rotation as well, because we don't know which way the player will be facing. We set the player to mount, and then I enable the Malbers input for the horse. The player, we change state just to basically nothing, but we call it locomotion. The weight is not needed. And then we change this local variable called mounted, which tells we are now sitting on a horse. IK for head and feet to false, because we don't need them. As now Malbers is controlling the horse. For unmounting, it's basically the same in reverse, except we also change this to is mounted. If it's true, then we set it to false. That means you can only unmount while sitting on the horse. So you might have noticed in the demo I killed, well, of course the enemies, which is a game controller enemy. So I just got two enemies. I got this guy, and I got the ancient queen. However, I also killed some of the wildlife. So if we pull up one of the wildlife, so I have this one, let's say castle deer. That's pretty much the standard Malbers controller. I didn't really change anything about how it functions. The only thing I did really was under AI, I added my own script. This script is just to get it started on the waypoints. I'll get back to that in a second. And that's really all I did to the enemies. Oh, of course, you saw when they die, they have this effect. They sort of fade away, and I'm using the shader called Advanced Dissolve. So if we disable all of these, look at the deer, then I will change the slider. You can see it's dissolving, right? And that's really all that's going on. You have to remember to create a new material when you do this. Otherwise you'll dissolve all animals. On the player itself, nothing really changed, but to make damage work on the animals, I added a... Let's see if we can find it. We had to do something about the weapon. Okay, here we go, weapon. So it's a normal Game Creator 1 weapon. I just changed the material. However, on the sword itself, you can see there's like 2 triggers or 2 boxes around it. The one I added was this one called Attack Trigger, and this is from Malbers. This allows me to do damage to Malbers animals or anything like that, and it basically works the same way as any other attack thing from Malbers. So you just add the box, make sure the settings is correct, and then you're off. And I found that was possibly the easiest way, because all the animations and everything is already controlled from Game Creator. So no need to add anything further to that. And then of course the compass. Originally I also had a minimap down here, but every time I was rendering or building, somehow it reset in size and filled the screen, so I decided to remove it. So we're only using the compass at the top right now. So as for animals, you can see these boxes, yellow boxes, and we have the waypoints over here. We got drinking, eating as well, the same over here. But you can see the waypoints here are not connected to the waypoints across the river, and that's because I wanted to do a test where I separate different types of animals. Of course, in this one they're the same on both sides. Only difference is on the other side we also have boars, on this side we don't. And that's running entirely on Malbers. So if we open this one called Castle Stuff, you can see we have this one called Malbers Waypoints Storage. It's just a quick script I wrote. It does nothing, it just has a list of waypoints from one area, and then I gave it a tag, a unique tag that identifies this area. And you can see it has one single function. It's called get first waypoint. Well, we can open it so you can see it. Still loading. Still loading. Still loading. Yeah. The joys of working with a too small computer for these projects. Now it stopped loading and nothing is here. Let's try again. There we go. It only has one function. Public game object get first waypoint. It returns a waypoint and it just selects a random waypoint from the list. Let's minimize that. So it's a list and a return function. So if we take the animal out again. Oh, we can actually just do it here. You can see we have this script with a tag. The tag identifies which tag group we are using. So if we go back and look at this one, we can see we have tags up here. And this script is basically doing minimal as well. I'm using Cinemachine for the only reason because Cinemachine already has the built-in function of the tag fields, so I can just click and select. It has a public waypoint array tag, which you get from drop-down, game object first and then connection to the control of whatever animal it's sitting on. And it really just, on awake, it tries to find the array. I should really update this, because just getting find, you should maybe do try, because if it doesn't find, what should we do then? It will just throw an error instead, or throw a null, and it won't run any further. The game would still run, but we have no way of capturing this issue. So this is actually a fault from my side here. Anyway, if we find the correct game object, then we grab the waypoint storage, basically the list, and then we ask it, please give me a waypoint. You get a waypoint, and then we assign it to the creature this script is attached to. We set the first target transform to true. And that means basically the animal will get a random waypoint in the area selected and start walking. And that's how I separate these two areas. The same for the character. So a thing you might not have noticed is there was NPCs. NPCs in this area was only from the medieval or knight theme, and the NPCs over here was only from the ancient Rome theme. So the way I do that is pretty much the same. So where is it? Castle area spawner. And this is from a asset called BROKN Spawn. Yeah, BROKN Spawn. Yes, it's correct. I added script assemblies. I do that to all things I build on. So I add my own script assemblies just to separate them out for faster building. Anyway. Castle area spawner. I think we can enable the gizmo. So you can see this red box now. These are the NPCs. It will spawn in this red box. It says during day, but I have not connected day and night cycle to this. Of course, it would be very easy considering we're using cozy weather already. It has a day and night cycle, so we can easily just switch day and night. But I'm just running these for now, as there's no day and night timer included here. We have 3 NPCs and 1 guard spawning. And there's the spawn master. Is it on the player maybe? I'm blind then. Here we go. Global spawn master. Enable debug. So if we set this back to 0, then we can see there's like 3 rings. We have a red, green and blue area. These are the ranges where things spawn, so you can see the green. Minimum distance is the blue in there. And of course the despawn range is the red outside. So we'll only keep NPCs within, let's say, visible range. And that goes for anything, wildlife, or NPCs, so that's why I also have this one. You can see it's a very big box covering the entire area. And it's spawning the deer, the fox and some skeletons in this area. The spawn master also controls how many I want in population within visible range, right? So I have 20. And it's a mix of 20 from each category. So that's nice. Funny new asset I bought yesterday was this one called why can't I? Hang on. Asset store. Asset store. Let's go. Asset store Unity. I think it was one of the new ones. It's called something like Civil. Yes, this one. I saw it was 50% off, and then I was like, yeah, we're getting this. It's an NPC controller, and I reached out to the developer on Discord and was asking about spawn range and limitations. Because I like this idea. It basically does what my own system already does, but easier. So I thought, let's give it a go, and this will probably be used in my next one. Because my own system, I can just show you, is being used here. I showed it many times before. It's for GameCreator 1. So whenever I spawn a GameCreator 1 character, I have all these waypoints placed around. And they are basically going into a array, which I somehow... Oh, it's right here. Global Waypoint Array Master. And you can see right now the waypoint is empty and the waypoints in use is empty. But this will just search the scene when we launch and fill it up once. Then each NPC... let's take out this guy. Have an action. And I call it idle roaming. And it just triggers when he starts, and then we run the start move. There's a delay, and then we actually check for this waypoint array master if we can find it. Of course we can do that. And then it will do exactly the same as we just did with Malbers. It will query for a random waypoint, and then it will just move the guy to the waypoint. The difference between the new asset I bought is when we can now set up fixed waypoints with a task or something. Of course we could just do that, so I could add a trigger box that disables this and he starts doing some sort of action, drinking, working, whatever we need to do. And that's basically it, and of course we just restart. So he'll be walking around all day. The new system also has a timer system, which I'm really looking forward to playing with, because it allowed me to set up a schedule for all the NPCs, so we could have some going up at day, some at night. Fixed home locations, which means we can simulate they have a fake home and workplace, so they will travel back and forth. What else is in here? There are a few NPCs permanently in here, and that's like these guys, the quest NPCs, the same at the temple if we go to the Temple King. So I placed them manually because I need to make sure everything is okay. Which is also kind of silly, because I could just hook them into the spawn master. So this one. In reality I could just have them spawn within the green. So whenever they hit the green zone, they become active. Whenever they go into the red, they become inactive. As game objects, of course. Shouldn't really be that big of an issue. What else do we have in this that's special? I think we're pretty much covered right now. Of course we have a cozy weather. See if we disable that and we just add a directional light instead. Disable this. There we go. Boom. Oh yeah, the player UI. So this one is actually tracking health. There was some problems setting this up. So if we jump back to scene, we jump to player, we jump to canvas. Is it health? Here we go. Let's face the right way. So you can see on the right, when I click the health, we have this gamecreator one from gamecreator one stats attribute UI. It's just keeping track of the stats. There's some nice. You can see the bubbles. Don't get fooled. It's just a mesh or a texture. So you can see. Whoop, whoop. That's all it is. Just a slider. And the thing is, with this slider, we have a material on it with this animation. That's all that's really going on. Everything else is just, yeah, as easy as it is. I think one of the things where I had to do something special was the stat group. So as you can see right now, it's empty. But if I enable these... Oh, hang on, let's disable Cozy so we can actually see what's going on here. This pops up. And this shows the amount of gold you pick up. And this one shows the amount of kills you do. But it's only tracking if you kill skeletons. So if we look at a skeleton, open, unpack, we have a dead function here. You can see here we have a global variable called player kills. It just adds one to that. This one, well, most of it is basically just an image, but this kill text, where is it? Canvas, here we go. We had to add a trigger on variable chains, player gold, player kills. We just update this UI. That's all there is to it. We just update the text from the global variable. I think there was a problem with this. Let's see, scripts. Did we create any? Indeed, we did. We did create a update global. Should say Vaupell, but it says car. Looks like we're getting. Get component stats, update string. Ah, yeah, okay. This is because I'm using TextMesh Pro, and GameCreator 1 does not support TextMesh Pro, so I had to rewrite the action to update it to work with TextMesh Pro. Where is it? So if we click on update gold, this one. I had to create this one because apparently TextMesh Pro does not work with GameCreator 1, and I could think I wrote some more actions for this one. Attribute reflect UI. Yeah, so there's two unique scripts here. Pretty sure there was another thing we had to add. Is it a trigger? Oh yeah, of course, maybe it's the trigger itself. Let's open and look. Yeah, it's the trigger. I had to get a trigger going. I can see I'm using health, and that was originally to get the health bar. Oh, that's something we skipped quite fast, right? Health bar. So where is it? Stat group. Is it other? No. Interface. Health. But this is not unique. I guess we'll find out later. We can see what it does. We take a attribute, target the player, take the attribute, material, health bar. We get the stats. We update the health bar value with the stats unique name. It sure as hell look like had to do our own trigger for the health bar update as well over here. Cool. What else is the robot? I don't know. That's when you create a new character. This is on. What else do we have? Player interactions. We have. That's just the combat actions. I changed them a bit, so I changed the equip and de-equip to V. Let's take a quick look. So when I hit left click, weapons out. I hit V, weapons away. So you hear once in a while like this sound. That's actually skeletons spawning in the distance. And when they spawn, they are triggered to initially on start to pull out the weapons. Oh, hello. You can see there is a waypoint right here, that's why they stop. Oh yeah, the barrels. Got an enemy. I'm middle. Scroll click. Just to log on and see the despawn. Whoop. That's something where I just tell you about. So the barrels, they're a bit funny. We have this one called there's something called Interactables, pickups and Interactables barrel. So the first thing I did was create this bag, and when you hit it, it drops money. And if we look at it, we can see it has the stats and it has an item health. That's the one we're using here. And of course a collider. And then we add a melee target and a trigger. So when it receives damage, health is actually subtracted from the item health, and then we just play a sound, play a ParticleFX, and give the player some gold. You can see it gets 3 gold from this one. The barrels are a bit different, so if we take one of these barrels, this one for example. Oh, stop that. This one. Thank you. Same setup, but when it takes damage, we have this one. On destroyed, it runs a random of 3 actions. Action 1, get money. Action 2, get an enemy. Action 3, get a health potion. Basically, all of them enable a different ParticleFX. So, money, get an enemy, and a health potion. And then we simply instantiate a game object at this point if it's a player, a health potion or an enemy. The only thing we don't instantiate if it's coins, then we just add coins to the player's global variable. Could of course add a random number of coins, but right now we're just adding 10 at a time. I think that pretty much covers everything, except maybe the loading. So here we have the start page. It's actually a scene, as you can see. just added a path with some lights, a temple, a castle to give it some ideas, a tower in the front, the UI. So if we look at the game, it looks like this. This is the start menu, right? Instructions for once. I think it's the first time in a very long time on a prototype I add instructions. Title, play and quit. And of course, the play button is probably the most important. So you can see the play button, it's using loading screen manager to load scene, and then we load scene name. Loading scene manager is who is making that? It actually doesn't say, but it enables me to do my custom loading, and that's what I like. So the one we're using is actually this one, called Playful. And customize the text, enable hints. I wrote 4 hints, don't die. Custom background, which is this screenshot. So basically when you hit play, you see the same still, but the UI disappears and it loads. And I didn't change any of this. I didn't change any of... I enabled press any key, yeah. So basically if we hit play now, so we can see it's now running. If I quit, it stops. If I hit play, the idea is the UI disappears and we only see the scene. Yes, so that works. And we're in game now. I think that pretty much covers everything for this demo right now. Oh, and if you're worried about these, just click this one, then they're gone. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment, rate, subscribe. By the way, I added all the demos to itch.io as well for easier linking. I hope you enjoyed. If you have ideas for upcoming prototypes, let me know. I already have some ideas. I got 2 other types of game I want to try and create as a prototype, so they'll be coming in the next couple of weeks or months. Let's see how much problematic they are going to be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.